Hello, my beautiful people. Is your girl again gifted gift? Of a truth, this is the first time in the history of Benin that a governor wants to be accountable to his people. And as good people of Edo State, we also have some questions to ask or observations to also make. Please, beautiful people, in case you have any question or observation that is related to school and human trafficking, please drop it in the comment section. And in case your question is on roads or Gile Seaport, please you reserve that question till the day it talks about Gile Seaport. Governor, sir, indeed no one can take the glory of Edo best from you. Yes, you did excellently well in education sector. Yes, sir, nobody can take it away from you. And our incoming governor want to beg of you, please do not destroy Edo best as a result of political issue. Please improve on it. Sir, an observation. What you said regarding to human trafficking, I believe human trafficking was a collective effort between your government and the Omonoba Palace. Yes, I agree with you that human trafficking has reduced drastically, but I want to believe that was not your effort alone, because we saw some videos some years ago where the traditional rulers or chiefs came out in the streets of Edo State to lay curses on anyone that will still involve his or herself on human trafficking. And as a result of that, most people that had already been trafficked out of Edo State, most of them refused to pay their madams the balance money. And as a result of that, I want to believe most of those people that were involved in human trafficking felt that it was no longer a lucrative business. So the issue of human trafficking, from what I know, was a collective effort, and the glory should be shared between your government and the Omonoba Palace. Yes, it was just an observation, sir. Now, concerning the returnees from Libya, sir, I want to ask a question. Those that returned from Libya, was job opportunity created for them, or they returned back to Edo State to join the society they wanted to escape from? It's just an honest question, sir. And another thing I also want to ask is, you made measure of stipends that were given to these returnees. Sir, how much?
We are doing very well. I mean, first, because we know that Aswe Godalo won that election, and we have proved it. And we've gone to INEC with a petition to show that he won and to show that the fraud that was committed in the collation process. I knew about that fraud. That was why I went to INEC that night. Yeah. Met them, creating all sorts of fictitious paperwork. I met quite a few people that shouldn't have been there at that time. Anyway, that's a story for another day. But that's why Igolalo won. He's in good spirits. We were together today. We went to Ewato for the sword turning and groundbreaking ceremony for the Jesuits University in Ewato, which is clearly going to be one of the best universities in Africa. And from there, we went with him home to Ebohimi just to go and relax and just be with his people in Ebohimi. So I just left him a few hours ago, and he's fine and he's in good spirit. Because clearly he knew that he won the election. I mean, hands down.
Yes, let's say thank you very much. Now, how do you feel? How do you feel reading newspapers, listening to interviews, especially from your friend, the former governor Shomole, the impeached deputy governor? How do you feel when people try to paint this story that you are the cause? You are the cause of a Aswe, because we are telling them that we won. They said no, that they won. How do you feel?
How could they have won Oredo, for instance?
Well,
you see, like I said, I want to talk issues tonight. I don't want to talk about jokers. I mean, if you look at them over the last 8 years, you just find out that these are not people I should be engaging with. I mean, because I'm not arrogant, but I'm just saying, look, there must be a basis for us to interact. If you have no integrity, if you have no character, I mean, how do I even start engaging with you? I mean, that's the first thing. Where 80% to 90% of everything that comes out of your mouth is a lie. Where do I start engaging with you? Where you don't have the background, you don't have the basis, intellectual, moral, ethical basis to have conversations on issues of, so what's the basis? So at the end of the day, I think the thing is to ignore them and focus on what the issues are. And the issues is about our people. The issues about development. It's issues about how to lift our people from the deprivation they are suffering today, from hunger. Those are the issues, not talking about characters who didn't go to school, who just by some accident of placements found themselves in positions which they were not prepared for, or they don't have the capacity for. So I don't want to talk about them or talk about issues. They're a distraction to our development. Let's focus on what the real issues are. And what are the issues? When we came in 2017, how about you were in this city, you were in this state. Yes. What was the reputation of Edo? I mean, every evening, what was the main business? Can you recall that young boys and girls in the evening, all they had to do was sell out whatever, look for money in whatever ways, and head to Boba Hill to take transport. Where to Kano, and then from there to Sahara, to Libya, hoping to get into Europe for a better life. Right? You recall, I mean, I tell you, I think it was in January 2017 when an official of the International Office on Migration came to the office for a meeting with me and said that we have a crisis and that we had over 30,000 boys and girls who have been identified as Edo citizens in Libya. And can you imagine how many would have died on their way there? You had stories of people who tell you that their son had just left home, he was going with his friend, they were traveling, they heard from him. After a point, they did not hear from him again. There were hundreds of stories. And for me, it was an issue of concern. It was almost becoming like slavery, people selling themselves into slavery. And I recall during my electioneering, my campaigning, it was one issue nobody wanted to talk about. That, it was like, well, everybody should understand, what is wrong with traveling, what is traveling, being trafficked. It was, you had places that called it normal you. I mean, cultural. And for a leader, who cares about his people, I just didn't think it was something, acceptable. As in history, we've never been sold into slavery. Why is it now we should be selling ourselves? Because of poverty? Because of maladministration of our state and our people? I said no. And I thank God for courage. I stood up and I said, what do we do? How do we resolve this problem? And it occurred to me that we should have a plan. The first part of that plan was to accept that trafficking and irregular migration was a problem. Admit that we have a problem that will destroy us as a people if we didn't check it. Because this was our own youth, your younger people who just didn't have any faith or hope in the system at home. Just felt that life, it's better outside of here. Therefore, anywhere else but home. And I could see the danger to us as a group, as a tribe. And we saw something I knew we had to fight. The reason I'm going through all of this, I'm going to link it with the issue of education. Giving you this as the background. So by, I think the first quarter of 2017, I then said, okay, IOM, Swiss government, how can you help us? And they said the EU and some other countries were providing money for airlifts of some of these people home. At that point, they then advised that I could set up my own anti-trafficking task force. So I then said, okay, Attorney General, go and set up an Edo State anti-trafficking task force so that we can deal with this issue. The moment I did that, there was reaction from the federal government. The Director General of NAPTIP at that time came furious, fuming, and said, why are you duplicating federal efforts? We already have one. Why are you doing one in your state? I said, well, first, I have the authority to. And secondly, if the federal efforts were working, why would I need to? Do you think I'm happy being, as an Edo person, being stigmatized? You know, I mean, we were the joke of the country. People were laughing at us. Oh, what is the capital of Italy? Edo State. Jokes like that. It wasn't funny. It wasn't funny. And so we set up the task force. We saw the negative reaction from government, and that's when I knew that, yes, there was more to this. But I think for me, it hit home when a young girl who was trafficked into Russia came back and said to me, they're very angry and she wanted justice. She knew the people who perpetrated the trafficking and she wanted to go after that. And she had enough information about them in Benin. I called my chief security officer at that time and to work with them. And after a few weeks, the girl came to me crying, frustrated. I said, sir, we will never be able to get these people because before we get to them, they've gotten information, they've moved. Because the people who are working with me on this are part of the... I said, okay, no problem. So this is deeper than we ever imagined. In fact, that was what led me to set up the task force. Having done that, let's fast forward. The task force started working. Monies came. They started airlifting the stranded victims from Libya back home.
Yes.
And because we had made the arrangements and we had a task force, every time an aircraft came in, we had our own people in the team, the task force, who will be at the airport to receive them. And what then happened was, as we received these returnees, and over time, we received over 5,000 of them. As we received them, we then, every time we received them, we documented them. We got a lot of data. And that data, once we analyzed the data, it helped us to now begin to understand the root causes of this challenge. For instance, if every time anybody came back, the task force will go in the aircraft, receive them back home warmly, we resettled them, did health checks for them, gave them stipends for a period so that they can, stabilize, get back their lives together. And then documented them, understood who they are, where they come from, what, their educational qualifications, all of that. So we had data on almost 6,000 returnees. What came out from that data, when we did the root cause analysis of trafficking and irregular migration, it pointed to one thing: the failure or collapse of our educational system.
Wow.
And so we then said, okay, what do we do? What is the plan to get out of this morass? First thing, we accepted that we have this problem. Second, we now have done a root cause analysis. Third, we need how to deal with the issue of trafficking as a crime, to go after those who are trafficking. And then lastly, the trafficking and human trafficking became vibrant because of the failure of our systems. So then we singled out education as that area for intervention. And the more we looked at the issues of education, we found out that it was just not. There was this penchant to focus on tertiary education. Oh, universities, that's all you heard about. University. What about the preparation to get to university? You know, for a long time, you know, teachers were not being paid regularly. You know, my predecessor in office, who unfortunately he did go to school. I mean, and found an opportunity, was humiliated teachers. Asked them, I mean, just didn't even understand what the challenges were. Thought that education was about red roof, giving contracts to their friends at inflated prices to make money. But, you know, we then sat back to say, okay, now that we know, how do we really fix the issue, the core issue in education, which is that these children who go to school, do they learn? Are they learning? Yes, schooling does not equate to learning.
Learning.
The fact that you have a fancy block of 3 classrooms does not mean, and the child leaves home every day and goes there and comes back, does not mean the child is learning. So we then have to focus on the issue of learning. And that what's important is not schooling, it's learning.
Learning.
And how do we do that? You know, when you think about it, if the teacher is not in class or in school, that child cannot learn because there will be nobody to teach the child. Right? So it meant, therefore, that the key area of focus had to be the teacher. Focus on the teacher first. And I thank God that we were able to get the cooperation of the teachers. You see, sometimes you hear how we stigmatize and denigrate people because of whatever reasons, whatever sinister reasons. These same people that my predecessor humiliated online, these are the same people I approached, came up, asked them, we want to train you on new teaching methods and teaching styles. And the first said, I said, you know what? It is not compulsory. So those who want to volunteer, please let them come. And I will train them. We had the first set of 2,000 volunteers who we used as the pilot and trained them in the new pedagogy, you know, how to teach children to learn. Fortunately for us, because after we came into office, you know, I ran a series of workshops.
Yes.
And we were able to reach out to experts, people who knew, who have done this before. And realized that a group had already developed a technology that will help organize teachers, train them, help them prepare their lesson notes, help them excite, motivate the children in class so that the children can be focused and learn. But it was expensive. It was like $40 per license. And we didn't have that kind of money. So I called them and negotiated. And I said, look, you guys have been doing this. You've done it in other countries in Africa, done it in Kenya and so on. So how many licenses have you sold all these years? 40,000 licenses. I said, but if we have, I mean, you know, a meaningful conversation, I'll buy up to 200,000 licenses. So why should I be paying $40? Please, let's give me a good price. Anyway, we got a good deal. Trained the first set of 2,000 teachers.
Wow.
And there I went for their graduation after 2 weeks of training in New Era.
I was there. Yes.
It was, you remember, it was electric.
Yes. I'm saying,
if you saw the excitement in these people, I just say, are these the same teachers we're talking about?
They were screaming and almost, they were screaming so excited, almost pulling down the foundation of New Era.
And that was the turning point. Because recall, after they finished, we had restore the self-esteem, the pride in being a teacher. And many of them left there very proud, calling themselves digital teachers.
Digital teacher, digital teacher. I still don't know the song.
You know, and as a result, you know, it created peer discrimination. And one will say, look, don't talk to me like that, or you're an analog teacher. So everybody wanted to be trained.
No, this is song. No more analog, digital teacher, digital teacher, digital something, something.
You should have been one of them.
Yeah.
So what happened there was that it suddenly we now had to train, and today we've trained almost 15,000 of them.
Wow.
Yes, in all our schools. So what it did, first, it standardized our teaching methods. So the way a child in Oredo is being taught is the same way a child in Akoko-Edo is receiving lessons. Also solved several other problems. First, the issue of teacher absenteeism. Teachers being absent from classrooms. Because being a digital teacher means that you have a tablet, you have a device we give you. That's the device that helps you do your work. With that device, when you go to work in the morning, you synchronize with the head teacher, the headmaster. And that's the time that will tell me that you are in school. If you don't synchronize your device in the school location, I will know. Because that data comes back into the back-end portal.
Wow.
Yes. So it reduces the issues of teachers being absent from their classrooms. While in class, that device helps you take attendance, so we know the child that has come to school and the child that has been absent. Wow. And if we find that the child has been absent for a while, it triggers off a system, so the back office people know, and the managers go and look for that child. That's how a young girl, a very brilliant girl, I think one in school in Oza or somewhere, who was missing from school for a period. And then we went out to try and find out what had happened to this child. And then the parents were dodging. And then we realized that that child had been married out to some man and raised the red flag. And I had to take it up with the governor of Katsina at that time to make sure that we got that child back to school. And that process, of just being able to have the data to see what is going on with these children was quite powerful. The other advantage is that the lesson notes, what the teacher is supposed to teach that day to the child, is already preloaded. So the teacher doesn't have to sit down and write in lesson notes. The teacher has just been trained on pedagogy, on how to deliver to the children in class, to keep them interested, to keep them excited, to make them want to be in school and therefore learn. And it also helps us to score progressively the performance of each child. So I can tell you over a 6-year period how the children in the Edo Best system have progressed and have performed in school. And you can see a lot of them are brilliant. Many of them are geniuses. And guess what? These are not children of the rich people.
No.
These are children of houseboys and house helps. These are children of women, struggling to sell in the marketplace. This is our public school system. So it's not been cheap. It's not been expensive, but we've had to make sacrifices to look for money to keep this system running. And what is the benefit? The benefit is that in another 8 to 10 years, Edo clearly would have gone back to producing the best manpower in Africa. Because if a child can learn to read, write, improve their literary and numeracy skills, to the rate of his or her peers anywhere else in the world, then it just tells you that in 10 years, I mean, of the 500,000 children today in my system, the top 100,000 will be amazing performers globally. There will be great engineers, there will be great lawyers, there will be great architects, great, and the system also has put in a lot of curricular activities. They have school sports, inter-house sports for their physical well-being. We have excursions to go to sites. I mean, our schools, our public school system today equates with whatever you have anywhere else in the world. So back to you. So we had to do all of this to reset the foundation, the building blocks for our future. Because as we analyzed data, we didn't realize that under the old system, the drop-off ratio between primary 6 and SS1 is 50%.
Wow.
That accounts for all the agberos, all the alaye boys and girls you see. And that's what was driving trafficking and irregular migration. Today, from the number 1 in terms of irregular migration and human trafficking, Edo is not top 10 anymore.
Wow. From number 1.
Yes. Go to the International Office of Migration and look at the data out there.
One second. I want to appreciate you. Friends all over the world, we have over 4,200 people watching. Please, let's hit 5,000 people watching. Please. This is the number 1 citizen of Edo State, and he's here to tell us all he has done. We've been hearing of his good work. We've seen his good work, but it is key that we do this live chat to hear his side of the story, because lies have started flying, propaganda everywhere. We have over 4,000, as you can see on the screen, we have 4,224 people watching. Please, if we hit another 500 shares, trust me, we're going to hit over 5,000. And in the next 24 hours, this video should hit minimum of 200,000 people. If we get this information out, trust me, these bad guys that are coming to steal our common patrimony will not have the space to misinform our people. Let's see. I love the way you are. Yeah, continue. We love the way you are breaking it. Let me also add this up. You see, yes. the day you were engaging with Naptip at Tesua, I was there. Yeah. I followed you. I was there. There was another event. There was another place that I followed around the Iriri area where some white men came. I was also there. So you can see. And let me also tell you, I am a victim. I lost my younger brother to this Libya route, Eric Obaseki. He's the Eric. My business name is Eric Duke. He's the Eric. I lost him. That was 2008. So we are victims of this fight.
I'm so sorry. You can imagine how many people we lost. But you have to understand the political consequences. Who were those involved? Why was it big? It was very big business. Haven't taken these steps and stopped all of this. Do you think they'll keep quiet?
No.
So how the political fights you are seeing today can be traced to issues like this.
Wow.
Because people who were running rackets, trafficking rackets, human trafficking rackets, were making a lot of money from it. You know, my cooperation with the Italian gendarmes, Gary Mendes and the EU that helped us break the back of this big business didn't go down well with some political actors. The fight back today, some of it is not disconnected from some of these policy measures we had to take. So, where are we today? We've fixed basic education. And we must and will forever be grateful to Dr. Joan Obiawe.
Obiawe. Wow.
You know,